go. Game of the night last night, Madison Square Garden, after a very interesting Game 1 Knicks-Pistons, in which the Pistons were in control much of the night, and then the Knicks blew it away in the fourth quarter. Last night, it was a lot about Cade Cunningham. He was spectacular, Carlos Boozer.
He was unbelievable, got it going early and often.
After a Knicks pass to nobody in particular, here comes more from Cade. He had 33 points, 12 rebounds, and he was letting Carmelo Anthony know about it as well. Pistons up 8 going to the fourth quarter. But this is where Jalen Brunson and the Knicks on Saturday, Booze, they went on that 21-0 run, and it looked like they might do the same thing.
They ended the third quarter great last night and carried that momentum into the fourth quarter.
Brunson, as he always seems to, carrying the load. He had 37. That one made it a 2-point game. Ensuing possession, 2 minutes to go. Where does Cleveland go for a bucket? Detroit, excuse me. That's Cade Cunningham to Jalen Duren. That's good. Pistons up by 4. A minute to go. Knicks down by 2. Brunson double teamed. Josh Hart wide open. We're tied at 94. The Garden crowd was rocking. It's just like it felt the other day. And that night, Detroit couldn't find a place to get a big shot. In this case, Dennis Schroeder, he has been great in this whole series. That's a huge 3 off the bench. He had 20. Knicks last chance. Down by 3. Mikal Bridges, could you be more open? Off the front rim, and that's how it ends. Detroit makes foul shots and wins it. Cunningham the 33, Jalen the 37, Pistons the win to even up the series at a game apiece. We're going to hear from Angry Peter here in just a moment. There is a lot of frustration. Look, we are in Knicks country here, so we're surrounded by a lot of frustration. And Marcus, we were talking earlier today, the Knicks don't look, if you just watched this series and didn't know anything about the season that preceded it, 7 out of the 8 quarters, you would emerge thinking the Pistons are the better team. What are you seeing, Marcus Morris?
And you're correct. The Pistons have been the better team in this series, and it's surprisingly that they're playing in the Garden and still looking like the better team. But take your hat off to the Pistons coaching staff and what J.B. Bickerstaff has done with this team this year. Detroit Pistons aren't scared. They're playing poised. They're playing hard. They're playing like they have nothing to lose. This is a really dangerous team, and if I was the New York Knicks, if I was the fan base, I'd be very, very, very worried.
Very worried, and he actually gave us 3 verys on that. So it's a heavily worried situation here, Booze. And look, I mean, the Knicks fans, there's a lot of places to be frustrated. Karl Anthony Towns, big acquisition, took 3 shots in the second half, none in the fourth quarter. Mikal Bridges, the big acquisition, 0 points in the fourth quarter. These were supposed to be the guys who get the Knicks over the hump. Instead, right now, they look in jeopardy of not even making it to the hump.
These were the guys that were expected to give Jalen Brunson some help. Right. Jalen Brunson is carrying this team, doing a phenomenal job, as he always does. Cat has really gotten outplayed by Tobias Harris. Another big double-double for him, 15 and 13 for him. I felt like Cat just didn't have a presence yesterday. The first game, he had 23 and 11, was 10 for 14, had a presence to him. Last night, no presence. I didn't even feel him on the court. And obviously, Bridges had a huge first half, non-existent second half. This is not the Knicks team you want to see. In my opinion, Detroit has all the momentum. They did their job. They got 1 win. They could have got 2 wins. Going back to Detroit, where we all know all their other players, the complementary players, are going to play great at home in Detroit.
It was a monumental win for a Pistons team that literally hadn't won a playoff game since 2008. And the bench is a huge factor in this. They had good performances off their bench, Detroit did in Game 1. And last night, their bench outscored the Knicks bench 35-8. All 8 Knicks bench points came from Deuce McBride last night. Let's hear from the voice of a Knicks fan. Frustrated, scared? What's the emotion this morning?
This isn't shtick. I'm a diehard Knicks fan. And last week, you guys were all talking like, if Tibbs doesn't get past the Cavs or the Celtics, is that a disappointment? Like, Cavs or the Celtics? This Pistons team scared the heck out of me coming into this thing. And there were a lot of stars there last night. I saw Fat Joe in all pink. I saw Paul Rudd. I saw John McEnroe. Does Karl Anthony Towns want to be a star? Because he wasn't on the court when it mattered most, making plays. Does Mikal Bridges want to be worth 5 first-round picks? I didn't see it out of him. And I know we love Tibbs here, and everyone loves Tibbs in New York, but, you know, Cam Payne got 3 fouls early and didn't see the court the rest of the game, and Deuce McBride scored all their bench points. I can't watch that team last night and then in the same breath see Dante DiVincenzo balling, Julius Randle balling, and then Hartenstein dominating on Sunday afternoon, and us think, well, can they get past the Cavs? Cavs are something. let's be better than last year. And I'm not sure this team is any better than last year's.
If you look, that's a team that made a run last year. I'm not taking anything away from what Indiana did last year. They won and they deserve it. But the Knicks they were a shell of themselves by the end of that. And that was a team that certainly looked like it was headed to the conference final before the injuries just completely took them out of it. But they had so many more players then. They gave up a lot of them, as he says, for Mikal Bridges, or the picks were Mikal Bridges. They made the big trade to get Karl Anthony Towns and move some other pieces away. Is this team better than it was in the playoffs a year ago?
It doesn't look like it. I mean, last year's team was tough. They were gritty. They had guys. There was leaders in that locker room. Obviously, Brunson's their best player, but who's the leader in that locker room? I mean, me and Woody were talking backstage, like, not always your best player is always your leader. Who was going to get in somebody's face in a huddle? I don't know if they had that guy in the locker room. And
so, Marcus, put a finishing touch on it for us here. I mean, the Pistons deserve all the credit in the world. This is a young team that had a surprisingly good season. Have been, as I mentioned, they hadn't won a playoff game in 17 years. 8. Until last night, and here they are, having looked like the better team to this point. If I gave you a mulligan on your pre-series pick, Marcus, whatever it is you thought was going to happen before the series, who do you believe is going to wind up coming out of this series, the Pistons or the Knicks?
This is a tough one, and I know Knicks fans aren't going to like this one, but, I got to go with the Pistons. Like, unless we have a drastic change or, I always speak on consistency, right? Like, players need consistency. So even coming back and bringing somebody off the bench and hopefully Campaign can give you that same surge. He didn't play last game, so he don't even know if he's going to play the next game, right? You have to have consistency in the most important time of the season. And right now, the Detroit Pistons have all the consistency with how they playing their veterans, with how the minutes they're rotating their guys. And just to be quite frank, I got to go with the Pistons. They got one in New York. They get to go back home. And hopefully, if they take care of business, get 2. So, listen, I'm going to go with the Pistons right now.
Game 3 will be on Thursday with Marcus and Booze and a first-time, long-time Peter Schrager with us.
I'll hang up and listen.
Bottom of the hour, get up on ESPN. We open with the Knicks and Pistons. The series of the first round so far has been Nuggets, Clippers. An unbelievable overtime game 1 and an equally great game 2 last night. Fourth quarter, Kawhi Leonard, spectacular. Clippers a 3-point lead with 2 minutes and change to play. Next, Nuggets possession. Clutch, Jamal Murray. He had 23. We're tied at 100 inside of 2 minutes. Next, Clippers possession. We got a loose ball. We got a miss. We got Leonard. We got Norman Powell. Oh, and he's wide open, and he knocks it down, giving the Clippers the 3-point lead. Under a minute to go in the fourth. Clippers lead is 1. Kawhi, he had 39 points, 15 of 19 from the floor. Ooh. Clippers by 3, 18 seconds left. Still a 3-point game. Here we go. Harden, no good. Denver coming the other way. A 3 to tie it, 10 seconds. Christian Brown likes the look, but it's nowhere close. Joker's got the rebound. Oh, will he knock in the 3 to tie it? No, he won't, and that's how it ends. Clippers steal game 2. They had the big lead in game 1. They let it all get away, and they lost it in overtime. They had the lead last night. It got away, but in the end, they win it. Again, Kawhi had 39. Jokic had 26 and a triple-double. Kawhi Leonard, it's his most points in a playoff game since 2021. You keep saying this, and I know it sounds like a broken record. When he's healthy, he's as good as anybody. Yesterday was his 4th career playoff game with at least 30 points on 75% shooting. The only player with more in the shot clock era is James Worthy. By the way, that goes back to 1955. All right, let's look ahead to tonight. Lakers and Timberwolves game 2. Let's play more or less. The numbers are brought to us by ESPN Bet Sportsbook. Carlos Boozer, the LeBron total on points plus assists plus rebounds is 38.5. You going more or less?
Over, because they're going to need it if they're going to win tonight. Got to go over.
LeBron going to have a big night, and we'll see if he's able to do it for them. So that's a more. Marcus, Luka Doncic, points plus assists tonight, more or less than 37.5. What do you think?
I'm going more. Luka is going to be dominant in this game. They understand that they need to get a win. Offensively, he's just getting to wherever he want to get. I think he's way over, to be honest.
Yes, I would say if he's under, then the Lakers are going home. He had 37 points alone the other night. Finally, Booze, Anthony Edwards, his total points tonight is 25.5. What do you think?
Going over. He had that last game. He's going to be even more aggressive in game 2.
Now, Anthony Edwards looking to give the Timberwolves a critical advantage in the series. So if you're riding with us tonight, we've made that into a parlay. You can bet it at the ESPN Bet Sportsbook with odds of plus 455. Look for the more or less featured parlay on the homepage and in the parlay lounge. So this might only be game 2 of the series, but Kendrick Perkins was on NBA Today yesterday saying the urgency level is high for LA.
The Lakers got to win. They're in a must-win situation game 2. Otherwise, they're going to get swept. And I wouldn't say that with that much confidence if Anthony Edwards wasn't on the other side. He's going to make you feel pain any chance he get. You better win game 2.
I've kept D. Wood in this conversation because he is our resident Laker fan, knows that team as well as you can know it. Big Perk just said your season ends tonight if you lose. You buy it?
Yes, absolutely. Minnesota played with such a sense of urgency game 1. They were more physical. They got to all the loose balls. They got to the rack. They had wide open threes. I don't know, going into this game, and I always talk about it should be the coach's job to make sure you guys are ready. It's the players that should make sure that they're ready to go on the court. Clearly, they were not ready. The Minnesota Timberwolves had their way, getting to the hole. That's why you saw so many uncontested three-pointers, and they made them. I don't expect Minnesota to make it at such a high clip, but if the Lakers don't increase their intensity, particularly on the defensive end, this thing could be over before we get going.
It was interesting, Booze. J.J. Redick sort of acknowledged in the media availability, I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before that I saw it, that he said maybe during the week that they had off, they didn't work hard enough. They didn't practice hard enough. It was sort of an interesting admission by the coach that maybe he didn't really have them as ready as they needed to be. I don't know that I buy that. I mean, maybe he's just trying to take the heat off his players because at the end of the day, as D. Wood says, I mean, your season is on the line. Do you agree with that? Is the Lakers season on the line in game 2 tonight?
I do think that reflection is the mark of a good coach. I do think their season's on the line. If they go down 0-2 while there's 2 home games are in LA going back to Minnesota with this team, it could be over. It could be over very quickly.
So, Marcus, who is the one person you were looking at tonight? Who is the one player who has to get it done for the Lakers to get back in this series?
I'm going to keep saying it. I'm going to say LeBron James. I just think he needs to be really assertive, miss or makes. I think he need to get easy baskets. I think he just need to assert his domination into this series. But I don't think if they go down 0-2, any team with LeBron James or Luka Doncic will have a chance, but they really do need this win tonight.
It is an interesting thing, Booze, because, you know, Luka got so hot in the first quarter. He had 16 points in the first quarter. Maybe LeBron was sort of sitting back and saying, all right, it's going to be his night offensively. What Marcus is saying is LeBron's got to say, it's my, no matter what else happens, I've got to be aggressive offensively tonight.
LeBron can't have 0 points in the first quarter. That's a problem. I don't mind Luka being on fire. He's always on fire in the first half. We've seen that since he became a Laker. But Bron can't have 0 points in the first quarter.
In the meantime, we turn our attention to these quotes from yesterday. Nico Harrison, the much maligned, I don't know what you describe it, the general manager of the Dallas Mavericks who traded away Luka Doncic, and we've all seen the results. He had his end-of-season press conference yesterday. He was asked about the anger of the fan base and whether or not that has exceeded his expectations, and this was his answer.
I did know that Luka was important to the fan base. I didn't quite know it to what level, but really the way we looked at it is, you know, if you're putting a team on the floor that's Kyrie, Clay, PJ, Anthony Davis, and Lively, we feel that's a championship caliber team, and we would have been winning at a high level, and that would have quieted some of the outrage.
Okay, so, I mean, it's an unimaginable thing to say. We all acknowledge that, and we had this conversation earlier. But our general manager, Mike Tannenbaum, who I'll remind you was a GM in 2 different places, including a pretty noisy one in New York City, was listening to the conversation and is chomping at the bit to jump in. When you hear Nico Harrison saying those things, what does it make you think, Mike T?
It brings me back to March 1st, 2011. We released Damian Woody, and the blowback for 10 or 15 seconds was outrageous. Look, when you have the privilege of leading a franchise, as Coach Belichick would say, you have to ignore the noise. And what they did, obviously, was transformational, Greeny. With that said, we're all human beings. You got to know that He's an icon. He's in the prime of his career. And as you guys said earlier, you just thank him for his services and move on. The more you talk about it, you're just drawing attention to the past. This is about a future, what a great team when healthy, Kyrie gets back. So to me, you made the hard decision, move forward. The more you talk about it, it just brings more noise.
Let's also be clear on one thing, Mike T, and you're the person in this conversation who would have direct insight into this. You might be able to trade a 4th-round pick without knocking on the owner's door and confirming that's okay. There's no conceivable chance you are trading Luka Doncic. I meant that from a football perspective. There's no conceivable chance you are trading a franchise superstar, a global icon, on your own whim, right? There's no way in the world this wasn't a decision that a lot of people made. So on some level, I feel like they keep sending poor Nico Harrison out there to take all of the arrows on this thing. And again, I think he keeps saying the wrong things. But that's neither here nor there. Like, this was obviously not a decision that he made by himself, Mike, right?
Yeah, Greedy, absolutely. Even if you take it down a notch, I mean, I've been involved with big moves like signing Ndamukong Suh, trading up for, whomever, like from Darrell Rivas to Mark Sanchez, trading Brett Favre, Tim Tebow. You're saying between your head coach and owner, on any move of any consequence, you look to your left and right, make sure they're signing off. Now, look, part of the job description of GM, to be candid, is to go out there and you're taking the bullets whether you like it or not. But clearly there was institutional sign-off when you make a move of this degree.
That's exactly right. So they need to stop sending him out there because he certainly just keeps making it worse with the things he says. Marcus, what was your reaction to the comments of yesterday?
Again, I got to continue to say, like, he's not the guy, just alluding to it. He has to have sign off on this trade. It doesn't make sense to keep hitting at what you think is going to happen, what you didn't know was going to happen. It's done. Move forward, talk about the future and what it looks like for the Dallas Mavericks moving forward to next season. Give the fans some hope, because the more you talk about what happened or what you didn't know was going to happen or what feedback you didn't expect to get, listen, you're trading a big piece in the NBA, a guy that can possibly be a future Hall of Famer. It makes no sense to keep doubling down and doubling down. If I was Nico, I would just leave it alone.
Right. And so I know what the fans watching the show are saying. They're saying, yeah, but they keep asking him. He has to answer the question. You had a pretty good response to that, D. Wood. How should he respond when asked the question?
Don't talk about a player that's not on your roster. You're literally doing yourself a disservice by talking about someone that's not on your roster. And literally, when someone asks you that question, and you just politely say, listen, I'm only talking about the players that we have.
Who did that the best of anybody?
Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick would never entertain, the media asking questions about guys who were, former players on the roster. He was just he was always forward looking. We're on to Cincinnati. We're on to this. We're on to that. He would never talk about, this, when he made a transaction or moved on from a guy, he wouldn't just dwell on it. He's just talking about the future.
And he traded away a lot of good players. I mean, yes. Over the years, Bill Belichick was famous for trading a guy a year too early rather than a year too late. And that was it. Once they were traded, it was like, well, we're not talking about him anymore.